What's up, Browns fans? Welcome to the Dawgs podcast. Let's kick this thing off.
Welcome to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Reniker, Zach Kopp, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs podcast. This is a big episode. Your Cleveland Browns, 12-5, moving on to face the Kansas City Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champions in the divisional round after a complete domination of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's just call it what it was. That was an old-fashioned butt whooping behind the woodshed. Pure awesomeness. As you can see, we're being extra petty on the show today. I got my backwards hat on. We're all wearing our brown swag. Couldn't be happier. I couldn't sleep today. I was so pumped to do this episode. What's that? Somebody just recommended this song to me. What? What's going on?
Oh, you might have messed it up.
Whatever.
I need some more.
I got to watch JuJu's TikTok videos.
He's gonna have plenty of time to work on them.
Yeah, he's got time.
Yeah.
Browns is the Browns.
Yeah, I was told these guys, sources say Cleveland has Pittsburgh starters resting this week.
Right.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a better chance to win.
Yeah. With their backups.
Should have started the backups.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to get into all that.
Absolutely.
All that. Before we move into all that, though, I do got to, go through the typical beginning. Remember to check us out on all the social media pages. Facebook, if you're watching live right now, thank you very much. Tap that share button. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram. Please subscribe on YouTube. We finally hit over 100 subscribers. So
Thank you
to
everybody.
everybody.
Very exciting.
We got a custom URL yet?
No.
So
That's coming.
We'll have the custom URL soon, and you'll be able to just type that right into your search bar, and boom, we'll pop up. So that's super exciting. We really appreciate that. Remember to check us out on AGA apps, on your Rokus, your smart TVs, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast. You can download it and listen to us. Last but not least, remember you got a couple more weeks to check out NFL games on Thrive Fantasy. Use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, to get your 100% match on deposits of $20 or more, up to $50. A couple more weeks to play NFL games. I haven't done any NBA stuff yet, so if you want to do some NFL prop bets, make sure you hop on Thrive now. Use that promo code DAWGS. Get your free money, win some money. I think that wraps up all the stuff I got to do, so let's just get into this because what an exciting time to be alive for us Browns fans. We are 12-5. We're moving on to the divisional round to play the defending Super Bowl champs, and I just got to get into this right now. All the Steeler talk, you shouldn't be happy. You only beat our backups by 2 points. Wait till we get our Hall of Fame center back. What'd he do on the first play of the game?
Right.
And the Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah. How many picks did Ben have?
4.
Oh,
I was going to say,
4?
what? Was it
I got
2?
you.
3?
No, 4.
Right.
Wow.
Like LeBron counting championships.
Absolutely.
Not 1,
Yeah.
not 2, not 3. So I'm so tired. I told you on this show, didn't those starters just lose to the Bengals?
Yep.
No, call me Nostradamus. I mean, come on. That was a complete domination. I know they came back, and because as Browns fans, we'd seen doom and gloom before. We all thought, oh, man, we're about to lose this game. Any other pro football teams, though, would have been watching that game knowing they had it in the bag. But because we're the Browns, it's like, man, this is getting nerve-wracking.
Sure, and I feel like the casual fan or, just the NFL fan of maybe another team watching playoffs Sunday night was like, oh, okay, that's a good game. Browns really beat up on them, and we're sitting there at home like,
Never got – did it ever get within double or single digits?
No.
So, we're worried about this – I was all nervous about this comeback. Never got within double digits.
That's years and years and years and decades of trauma, man.
Yeah.
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 To that team. That team dished it out for my entire life to us.
I got to say, seeing Ben Roethlisberger crying on the bench after losing a playoff game to the Cleveland Browns.
Probably his last game of his career.
My life?
It almost feels like a changing of the guard.
Yeah.
Like we're ascending, and they got some things they got to figure out. They're old.
They're super old, and a bunch of
What was that, Kareem?
they have so many free agents too that they have to sign back, and they're not going to be able to bring everybody back.
No. So the Steelers are on their way out.
Yep.
You know, they were 11-0 at one point this year. And I remember at the beginning of the season, I was like, I don't see what all these people are loving about the Steelers this year. And then their defense came out, and their defense was dominant, and they were beating up on all these bad teams, and they were 11-0, but it didn't feel real. And you couldn't tell that to a Steelers fan, though. All the 11-0, 6 rings, 11-0, 6 rings.
Right.
And and then we saw what happened when they go 1-5 down the stretch.
Yep.
Lost to the Bengals in Ryan Finley, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Lost to the football team. Did Alex Smith even play in that game?
I believe he did.
Yes.
Did he play in that
Yes.
game? Okay. Lost to us twice. I know people like to say it's not a rivalry, but I'm pretty sure we're 3-2 against him in our last.
Bro,
5.
it's a rivalry to me.
Yeah,
it's
well,
always been a
definitely
rivalry. I don't know. That's always been a rivalry. I don't care how bad the Browns are. We've joked about this. We could go 1-15. And
That's
knock
still the
them out
biggest
of
game.
and
Right.
knock them out of playoff contention. I'm like,
Doesn't matter. We won that
did pretty
game.
good this year, and I feel like that. And it's always. I know we've said, man, that's a crappy outlook for you, Justin, but that's good enough for me.
Hey, it's what's gotten you by in those years.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's a rivalry because of this.
Do you feel like this Browns team has a different vibe, a more successful vibe than what you've seen in the past from them?
Nah, I think they're still the same Browns team I play every year. I think they're nameless, great faces. Yes, they have a couple good players on their team, but at the end of the day, like I don't know, like it's the Browns, and that's just like one of those things that AFC North football, and they're a good team, but I'm just happy we're playing them again.
What was that, JuJu?
Browns is the Browns.
Browns. Browns, yeah,
I got to
yeah.
give
Right.
credit. That's not Kareem Hunt's clip. That is Baker running
is
back
that
into the
Baker?
tunnel.
Yeah.
No,
With
it
that,
kinda
I mean,
sounded
the
like-
smile on his face. Oh,
The Browns
man.
is the Browns. We're not the same old Browns.
Nameless gray
Gray
faces.
face.
That's a very Mike Tomlin. Anybody switched it around. Mike Tomlin wouldn't say it like that.
No.
That's a Mike Tomlin kind of quote.
And is JuJu ever going to learn his lesson? First, it's the dancing on the logos, and you get lit up by Von Bell and lose to the Bengals. And then you come out and you say something. You are lucky we're playing practice squad guys in the secondary, or you still wouldn't have a 100-yard game.
Yeah, I mean, he did end up having a statistically good game.
Absolutely.
But it's just because we've got nothing back there. Ben, when you're going to your quarterback throws for 500 yards and you're the supposed number one receiver in your team, you better be over 100.
Well, that and we were playing that prevent defense in the first quarter.
I know, I
We're
know.
up 28-0. We were given, and I know that we were talking about it like, hey, maybe we shouldn't give them 13-yard, 14-yard wide open passes every single play, because that's why we stayed nervous for 3.5 more quarters
Our
of the game.
corners were just turning and running backwards at the snap of the ball.
Yeah.
We're going to get into game-specific stuff. I got one more petty thing I want to talk about. Don't we have one more sound clip of a Steelers player?
Oh, yeah. The good one here.
Yeah.
Bad loss, but Browns are going to get clapped next week, so it's all good.
Now, that sounds like
Game
somebody who's
preview.
about ready to
Someone
shed
salty.
a tear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you guys play next week, Chase? Oh, nobody? Okay. Sit down, shut up, take your L like a man.
Yeah.
I mean, what a bunch of soft. Whatever happened to Pittsburgh being like this tough team, tough place to play? What a bunch of soft babies.
Go ahead, bro.
And
Keep going.
what's Claypool? Isn't he like he's 21, 22, right?
Yeah. What's
I don't understand, too, with JuJu, he was saying same old Browns. Since he's been in the league, we've played them tough.
Yeah, we tied.
We tied
beat
them. I know, like, for us to say, a tie, like,
No, hey, that's
big
good enough
deal.
as a win.
And it was
Some
Myles
years.
Garrett thrashing Roethlisberger. That was one of the funnest games that I had ever watched leading into this season. So I don't understand. I know people say, hey, the media kind of switched it around because he did say, hey, they're a good team, but then at the end, there's the jab. Oh, I'm glad we're playing the Browns again.
Right. Well, so
I'm
were
glad.
we.
So were we. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so were all the Browns players and coaches that we didn't have. They were
Right.
watching in their basement. So, hey, 216, that's all I got to say about it.
I do want to move into some game-specific stuff. We got to talk about Mike Prefer and Alex Van Pelt, the job that they did. It was almost – did anybody even notice Stefanski wasn't there, except for maybe in the play we challenged that we shouldn't have challenged?
Well, every time they went to the sideline to show our coach, and it wasn't Kevin Stefanski, I realized he wasn't there.
Yeah.
But play calling wise, didn't really miss a beat. Game plan was excellent. Defensively, we've had questions all year, so I'm not going to say that we did anything different on defense. in this game. No, it was the
Same old Browns.
Same crappy defense
Yes.
that we were rolling out there every
Yep.
week. Offensively, though, great game plan with having no practice. That's like the biggest thing. No practice. You're missing, a Batonio on the line. We were playing some guys that Baker just met the day of the game.
Stefanski still hasn't met that was his name?
Hence.
Yeah.
Still hasn't met him.
Yeah, Baker afterwards said, because she asked him about Hence or whatever his name is. Sorry.
Some guy named Blake.
Blake Hance?
Yeah. Blake Hance. I think it was Hance.
I wish him happy birthday on Twitter because I was like, dude,
Welcome
you
to
deserve
Cleveland.
a happy birthday.
Right.
Baker said, I literally shook his hand in the locker room before the game, said, hey, I'm Baker.
So can you imagine that you're like sitting there on the sideline, you're thinking, they just brought me in here, they had to fill a spot. I'm just here for emergency. And then all of a sudden, another guy goes down, they're like, all right, Hans, you're up.
Yeah.
Go out there. And then I was paying attention, and one of the first plays he's in there, Baker's audible. And he's saying, like, Lucy, Lucy, Lucy. This guy has no idea what he has to have no idea what he's talking about.
Why is there a Lucy down there? She's going to get hurt.
You mean Lucille? Where is she?
Right. Yeah, it was, crazy.
I saw today that, the first guy who played Dunn.
Yeah.
He was imitating Joel Batonio for the Jets practice squad like 2 months ago.
Well, he did a great job.
And then,
he did.
He filled right in.
And then
for
he
him.
filled in. And then this Hans guy was literally like bagging groceries, looking for jobs in real estate last week, basically. And he comes in. And if you watched last week's episode, one of my biggest fears was the fact that we were going to have a backup left guard lined up against Cam Hayward. I didn't even hear Cam Hayward's name once. Did he even play, or were they still resting him for next week?
No, he was there.
Yeah.
He was there. I saw many shots of him and him not looking happy.
Yeah, I
love.
Yeah, I love Cam Hayward from his Ohio State days, but I didn't even know he played. That was abysmal. And then Conklin gets hurt, and we got to put Kendall Lamb against T.J. Watt.
Yep.
And that first play, T.J. Watt burned him, and he held. And I was like, man, it's about to be a long game for Kendall Lamb. And that was the last you heard of T.J. Watt.
Yep.
The last you heard of him.
Now, Bill Callahan, I don't think we bring that name up enough. That dude needs some credit.
Yep. And he wasn't even there.
Yep.
Or the backup.
Yeah, but just it was like the water boy was coaching the line. Like,
it was the game management specialist coach that was coaching the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the lineman coach. He was like some 150-pound guy.
Yep.
What adjustments are we making at the end of the first quarter, guy? And he's like, well, I was going to switch to purple Gatorade instead of yellow.
But to his credit, Cleveland Browns offensive line did not give up one sack.
Against a team.
Against a great
the third-ranked defense in all of the NFL.
a scary good defense.
Had come in 70+ games in a row with a sack.
Yep.
They haven't gone a game without a sack in 5 years. Something crazy like that. I mean, it's
Do that mental math.
Yeah, right.
Not anymore.
I've had too many concussions for that.
Yeah, so I got that. So Michael Dunn, 2017 went undrafted. 2018 cut by 2 NFL teams. Signed in the AAF and the XFL in 2019. Cut by the Browns in training camp this year. 21 starts in playoffs and does work. He had 23 pass block snaps. Only gave up 1 QB hurry. The guy and there's another video on here that's kind of funny showing because he wasn't able to practice with the team. So there's a video of him preparing this week. He was practicing in a parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, we just been like claiming parking lots across the country as practice facilities.
Yes.
It's unbelievable to me. And to me, this is a huge reflection on Kevin Stefanski. Yes. They always say, like, what's the sign of a good manager, good CEO? It's if you're not there, your company, your team still
doesn't miss
a
level.
Beat. Yep. Yeah, they don't need you there. And people were talking about how Kevin Stefanski not being there is going to be huge. I thought it was going to be huge.
We all did.
That he was he just has from top to bottom. I mean, from Alex Van Pelt and Mike Prefer all the way to the game management specialists. And a guy he hasn't even met before, he somehow has prepared.
Yeah, and I think the reasoning that they talked about with putting Prefer as the acting head coach for that game was very well thought out. I mean, he's a guy, they said he has the most interaction with everybody on the team because he's special teams, and they don't want to take offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator out of their roles.
Right.
I saw he coached.
He did one game.
For Zimmer.
Yes.
Zimmer had emergency eye surgery. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yep.
2 years ago, and they kind of said the same thing. Like, All right, hey, man.
Right.
You're up.
I thought it was funny the announcers mentioned that, and he lost that game, close game against the Cowboys. They lost, and he said that I think it was his kids always call him 0-1 or 0-1 because he didn't have a win. So, he can finally put that to
Call him
bed.
Ty now.
Yeah. Well, I'd say I'm 1-0 in the postseason.
That's fair. That's very fair.
So, I mean, great job by Stefanski. And we talked all year or all offseason that when Paul DePodesta and the search firm and all that stuff, they were looking for GM and coach. They kept talking about, there needed to be cohesion, a marriage between the GM and the coach, and the staff, all one vision. And I think we're seeing the importance of that and how it's playing out. The Browns, how I know we're not the same old Browns? The Browns is the Browns. There are so many games this season. There are so many games this season that old Browns teams would have found a way to lose. Where we had a lead and then they come the Dallas game.
Yep.
We would have lost there's so many different games that we would have found a way to lose. And then it comes fourth quarter time and we put up 2 touchdowns and we seal it.
Yeah, we've been saying that all year. That has been the theme. It's just that changing of the culture. Now it's a team of overcoming.
Right.
Yep. Whenever adversity hits, bad things happen, COVID, no coaches, all this stuff, they overcome.
This team's 12-5, and if you would have told me, I picked us to go 11-5. So this wasn't completely unforeseen by some of us, me and Zach in particular.
Right.
But if you would have told me we were going to go 11-5 in the regular season, and we were going to play multiple games without all of our wide receivers, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, without Conklin, without Teller, if you would have told me we were going to be missing all these guys for all these games, no way would I have picked us to go 11-5. We had no business winning this game, not alone taking them behind the woodshed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, we look like a team that's been practicing every day for 3 weeks. We've had one practice in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And we just played a game 2 weeks ago, no wide receivers.
Yep.
And then we come into this game, maybe they should fire Tomlin.
Guys, so before we even start that, listen, Steelers fans, for you saying that you should fire Tomlin, go ahead. Yeah. Absolutely, because I would love.
Go ahead, fire your coach, and then now you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, bring Mason Rudolph in. Let's go, baby.
Good luck. As a fan that has looked for a coach for 20 years plus, go ahead. Go right on ahead and fire him. Because he will be picked up immediately. He'll be on a team on that
tomorrow.
Day.
So obviously I don't want to show any love to the Steelers today, but the fact he's never had a losing season, which means they never draft higher than 10th.
Right.
So it's very hard to keep
keeping
that roster.
They normally hit on their draft picks too.
Every pick.
Except for the couple of their running backs they've taken lately and not taking a J.K. Dobbins. I don't know what their front office was thinking there. But, I mean, Steelers fans, I think, your QB's probably done. He just can't move. I think that's his biggest thing.
Yeah, problem
can't move and he can't throw. Like, his biggest thing was he had a huge arm. He could throw it downfield. Can't do that anymore.
He's like a $40 million cap hit against him next year if he wants to. So if he doesn't retire, if they can talk him into retiring,
they got to talk him out of that deal.
And they want to move off of him, they got to restructure. I mean, they're going to be screwed. I freaking love it.
Keep him. Yeah. Keep him. Let's play next year.
Let's bring him. Let's run it back.
So it took. I mean, we kind of talked about changing the culture in Cleveland. It took 8 years. No, 9 now. 9 years for Jimmy Haslam to get the right GM, to get the right coach.
I'd given up on Haslam. I'll be the first to admit it. I literally, especially after the Freddie Kitchens thing, I was like, hey, if we're going to do this, Haslam's got to go.
Right. See, and I was kind of along the same line. So it was kind of nice seeing him. They went to, showed him on the screen Sunday night at the end of the game, showed him down on the field. Because, hey, how many of us might have been like, hey, anybody want to buy this team?
If I had the money, I'd have done it. Wow, that's the ultimate dream.
You got to credit him though. He didn't give up. He was willing to, like last year with the John Dorsey thing and the Freddie thing, he was willing to, make tough decisions. What were we all thinking when we fired Dorsey?
Oh,
I was like, what are you doing?
I've heard diehard Browns fans say, I'm done.
Yeah.
I was like, woof.
So credit Jimmy Haslam. It might have taken a long time, and thank God, patience was running thin with all of us, but he got it right. And I was a huge anti-Paul DePodesta guy. I was like, just get this guy out of the building, please. But apparently he knows what he's talking about because he wanted Stefanski last year, and Stefanski might be my favorite person in all of the world right now, other than my wife.
What's happening right now with the Browns almost makes the Freddie Kitchen debacle worth it. You know what I mean? It's almost like going through
You had to go. You had to do it to get what you're at today.
They just destroy your soul, and then you like, oh, I found the love of my life.
Oh,
man, it's
all worth it. You know,
there's so many clips that I've seen of like from last year and Freddie, and like from the growth of Baker, and there was one where Freddie Kitchens is just like poking at his face, rubbing his chin, and he walks away, and Baker's like, man, that guy's an idiot. It's like,
and you don't know
they
if
knew.
he's joking or not.
Yeah, they knew.
So speaking of Baker, we do got to touch on this first quarterback for the Browns. Take us to it, man. I'm talking to you, Shrum Media on YouTube. I'm all in on Baker.
your buddy.
He keeps calling me out, for being down on Baker.
Rightfully so, a little bit. Rightfully so, in a way.
I would like you to go back and at least watch those episodes, though. And no, I never said to give up on Baker. I said he had all season to prove this to me. This is still part of that season. He has proven it to me. I'm all in. And he played big boy football 2 weeks in a row. And this week,
he's played big boy football a lot this year.
Can we
7-8 weeks?
So somebody brought this up to me, and I've known it's been pretty solid, but I'm like, man. So a guy I work with, shout out John. He works with me every day. We talk Browns football, but he goes, hey, so last 11 games, Baker Mayfield. I'm like, what's going on? So the Cincinnati game is where we start that. Bad pick right at the beginning of the game. The only other interception that Baker Mayfield has thrown the rest of the year is against Bowser.
Yeah. That awesome
19
play.
touchdowns, 2 picks the last 11 games. Oh. Now we can say, hey, bad weather games, game plan. At the end of the day.
Well, when they throw up those stats and it's 26 touchdowns, 8 picks.
Yeah.
I think we talked at the beginning of the year. Didn't we talk about staying under 10?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we
kind of.
I think we all took the over.
I think we all kind of said, that's
might
not
be 11
happen.
or 12 or hopefully not 20.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, 8.
I would say up until the Jacksonville Jaguars game, I was like, man, I still don't know. But I said, we're coming into the stretch of the season that's going to prove it to me.
Yeah.
And then he hit that Titans game, and it was like a flip switched. And then it was the Ravens game. Even though we lost, he played awesome. And then even in the Jets game with no wide receivers, he had to throw the ball like 50 times, but still no picks.
Right.
Leadership kind of thing.
And then I wanted to see him against the Steelers teams. The Steelers team made him look quite like a panic, scared child.
Yeah.
In that first game. And then he just plays them twice and plays solid both games. This game, 21-34. 263 yards, 3 touchdowns and no picks, 115 quarterback rating. I mean, he put the team on his back again, and it's awesome. He has been a huge part of the culture change. A lot of people don't like his cockiness, but I feel like Stefanski has reined in his cockiness to the point where it's good now. It's not over the top. He's not, he does little jabs at Colin Cowherd now and then, turning his hat backwards, which is why our hats are backwards. But it's not, he's not on Twitter 24/7 just barking back at Colin Cowherd. You know what I mean? Like, he seems...
Yeah.
He's grown up this year.
Yes.
Yep.
A lot of maturity. He's matured a ton this year.
Well, and I guess when you look at it, Freddie wasn't going to bring out maturity in anybody, and he didn't.
No, he wore Pittsburgh started it. Sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, we were saying earlier in the season, in the preseason, like, I just really hope this was a Freddie problem. Really, really hoping it's not a Baker problem. It was a Freddie problem. 100. Maybe an Odell problem, but that's for...
Yeah. We'll get that in the off. Yeah, we'll get that in the off season.
That's for after we're done with our Super Bowl recap with the Browns.
Yeah. Right.
In your defense, so let's say Odell. I know we've said that I personally don't think that Odell is on the team next year. But let's say Odell does come back and we see that Odell like that New York first few years where he's hard to contain and Baker's evolved.
As long as Baker does not feel any sort of obligation whatsoever to target him if he's not open.
Yep. Exactly. It's almost like it was important for Baker to play well in this stretch without him. So that way, when Odell does come back, he can be like, listen, I can play. I played without you.
I think that's important for a quarterback too, to know, like, I love you. You're a great receiver. I'd love having you out there. I don't need you.
Exactly. Yep. So now he's got it's more Baker's team, less Odell's team now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I want to see it work with Odell. That being said, if somebody's like, hey, we'll give you Jamal Adams, I might be making that trade because we need some help on defense.
Absolutely.
So,
if we don't take that trade,
we are in the top 5 in the league in scoring offense, I think.
Yes.
Right? Look, we put up almost 50 against the Steelers in the playoffs. I think we could, if we could get a good defensive player for Odell, let's do it because we'll get some sort of free agent to fill in on.
I got 2 things real quick. Do you remember that proposed trade from Blake? Russell Wilson for Myles Garrett, Baker Mayfield, and who was the other guy? Was it Odell?
It was Myles Garrett and Odell for Russell Wilson.
You still making that trade, Blake, after watching the Rams?
I think Russell will. You guys, so you still think you don't think Russell Wilson's better than Baker Mayfield? I love Baker,
tell you
but
what,
you don't think Russell's better?
Those two went like this.
Are you finding right now today Baker's playing better football?
Count in age,
and they just fired their offensive coordinator for a reason.
Which
I
didn't understand the firing of that. He put up record numbers. I think it was starting to. It was like an impasse between Pete Carroll on the hot seat a little bit, and then the offensive coordinator. And he's like, "Well, one of us have to go, so I'm going to get rid of that one."
It's all right.
But yeah, that'd be a really good conversation to have because are you going to find another Myles Garrett? In that trade, you're making that trade. Would you rather have Baker at your QB right now, and then you still have Myles, and you'd still have Odell?
It kind of sucks that Myles dealing with the COVID thing because I think before he went out, he was up there with T.J. Watt for Defensive Player of the Year, and since he's come back, he's been. I mean, they're triple teaming him most of the time, especially now that Olivier Vernon's out. But I think you can still tell though that Myles. It doesn't appear to me like he's 100%.
Right, I agree. I don't think that he's 100%. I think even when he's me and Josh, I asked Josh before you guys got here, and then I said something on Sunday night. I said T.J. Watt is better than Myles Garrett, and I don't even think it's close. I would take T.J. Watt if that straight up. I wouldn't even hesitate. T.J. Watt is an animal, and he does everything. And I felt like in the one bright spot, if you're a Steelers fan in that game, was T.J. Watt was giving it all he could to get stops, to just try to keep getting the ball back. He was tackling from behind on running plays, trying to run away from him. I was getting tired of seeing it. I was like, just run at him. Then he can't. At least somebody's going to block him.
Yeah, he's so fast. And off the corner, he just.
Yeah. He was like really the only bright spot. Big Ben, he threw for a bunch of meaningless yards. I know he hit 501. Browns were playing prevent in the first quarter. We kind of talked about that. And then that's what got us worrying a little bit because what you just did defensively was forcing a bunch of turnovers, and then you were just like, "Oh, okay, we're up by enough. Let's just sag back and run away from the ball."
Speaking of the turnovers, though, I feel like we did last week. We said this defense used to live and die on the turnover.
Yeah, and we hadn't been getting them.
Yeah, and we needed to force some turnovers. We said Big Ben was prone to the turnover.
Porter Gustin with a nice diving.
We said we needed
catch.
We said Porter Gustin, we're going to need you. All he does is go out there and get a pick.
MJ Stewart, one-handed interception.
Yeah.
And maybe the best news to come out of this game is that Robert Jackson was put on IR.
Yes, great news.
And that sounds terrible to say. And
it's
MJ
not,
Stewart I don't understand how that guy. I mean, there's got to be somebody. I'd put a wide receiver out there to play corner.
Yeah,
that guy can't cover anybody.
No, he was bad. And the thing that kept driving me nuts is he would celebrate if it was like an incomplete pass, and he's waving his arms, and then next play he gets torched.
Yeah, he was bad. And again, I talked last week. No disrespect to him or MJ Stewart, but they're not even supposed to be out there. MJ Stewart
does some things decent.
Some things. I mean, he led the team in tackles. He had another pick. He's at least around the ball. I mean, most of the time, if Jackson's covering somebody, the guy he's supposed to be covering catches it, and Jackson's not even in the picture.
Right.
I mean, he's just burnt toast all day. So a couple more things. Last couple things to touch on before we move on. I think we got to talk about the run game. Nick Chubb and Hunt dominated again. I think Kareem Hunt averaged 6 yards a carry.
Yep.
Nick Chubb, 18 carries, 76 yards. I think it became very obvious early in this game that we were being vanilla last week.
Especially the usage of Nick Chubb. Yep. I think we came out early in the game, and it was just like, hey, we're riding you. Until we got into the red zone. And then it kind of seems to shift, and it goes into the Kareem Hunt.
Because he can run it, but he's like
he can be a pass catcher.
That pass catcher out of the backfield that they like.
Which is crazy because Nick Chubb had 4 catches in this game.
Yeah, and a very underrated part of Kareem Hunt's game that I've noticed over the last couple weeks is his pass blocking. You know, when we audible out of it, and think about it. We say our line does a great job, but we don't. I mean, Baker hasn't seen a whole lot of pressure, and that's, your running backs help that. Yep. I mean, they got to pick up the blitz. They got to, pick up the right guy and be working as a unit with the offensive line, and Kareem Hunt does that super well.
And he's just got a nose for the end zone.
Yes.
I mean, he runs
and you
nose
could tell,
and a shoulder.
And you could tell he wanted it. He was hungry to get it.
He's 5 yards out, and he sees a defender, and he just says to himself, "You're coming in with me."
Yeah,
Yes.
we're going to celebrate together.
I didn't get to watch a ton of Kareem Hunt when he was in Kansas City, because I didn't watch a lot of Kansas City football games, but, their offense is very finesse. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, I didn't know he was such an angry runner.
I know.
I
always thought he was more of like your smaller, like shifty back.
Yes.
Now with the Washington Cleveland, he's a bulldozer.
Yeah, there was one his rookie year, his first game, I think against the Patriots.
I had him in fantasy, and he went off on a Thursday night game.
I was like
40
wow,
points off.
This guy is for real. You knew the first time he got the ball, that he was going to be
not bad for a backup.
a beast.
No. And I love that he's completely bought into being like that kind of 1B role.
And we've locked him up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like he loves that he's in Cleveland, and
it's his home. It's his hometown team.
And I feel like that's another thing with culture changes. And I think we got to give a shout out to Jarvis Landry. He's one of the first guys that we brought into Cleveland that's really bought into, like, I love it here. I'm all about Cleveland. I bought a house here. I'm not leaving here. And I feel like he's the biggest trade acquisition franchise history.
Yeah, and that's what
easy. Yeah, absolutely, bro.
That's
absolutely.
what Hawkins, our old wide receiver, kind of like the similar role that they kind of played wide receiver wise. He came out and said it. That is the best free agent signing in Browns history, was bringing Jarvis in.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just the mentality. Not even what he does on the field. He does so much off of the field for this team. I love Jarvis Landry. Like, just thinking back to Hard Knocks.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
That speech where he's like, if your muscle's not torn off your bone, you're out there practicing. Like, if you want to go win a Super Bowl, it's now. This is the work we do now.
Right, and that coming from a guy who has, and I'll still say it, has never missed a game that he couldn't control.
You know what I mean? Fair, yeah, absolutely.
It means something coming from, because if you got a guy that misses, like, say Odell was out there trying to preach, you got to be out there, And it's like, dude, you're out there for maybe 10 games a year on average. But when Jarvis says it, he's like, no, look at my stats, 16, 16, 16, 16.
Yep.
15.
He brings the juice, man.
There's got to be an asterisk by that.
Yes.
Yeah. Big shout out to Jarvis Landry. We said that we felt like he needed to have a big game, and all he did was come in and deliver again, just like he always does. 5 catches, 92 yards, a touchdown, and it just seemed like every catch was big. That one third down, I love our play design. We find ways to get him the ball and get him matched up on, like, linebackers. It's 3rd and 4, and we put him in the slot, and we go 3 tight ends and then put Jarvis in the slot. He's our only receiver on the field, and yet somehow we got him matched up with a linebacker and not a corner or a safety, because we got 3 tight ends out there, and they're all split out wide. That's play design that we did not see ever in the previous year, ever. So huge shout out, to the entire team. We got to move off this, this game, but obviously,
do we have to?
I know.
It was so much fun.
It was a great time.
I'll throw this out to you guys real quick. Is it the biggest game, the biggest win in franchise history?
Yeah,
it's hard to say franchise history because they have such a storied past.
Right.
But for me in my life,
in the Super Bowl era, yes.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
And just the way, like, what we had to go through to get this win, guys out on COVID, our coaches in his basement, all the stuff. I mean,
the Steelers are just sitting waiting, team.
It's just, it had to play them 2 times in a row.
They're sitting out there. Oh, yeah, we're so happy to be playing the Browns this week.
Yeah, hey. We bounced you guys last time.
Guys.
Yep.
So, all right, well, let's move into this Kansas City Chiefs preview, because unlike the Steelers, we have a game this week.
Right.
So, at first glance, you're thinking, man, we're playing the defending Super Bowl champs. They got the world's best offense. It was a great run, but this is probably it for the Browns. Hold up.
Yeah, don't talk like that.
Hold up. I think that the more you look at this in some of these numbers, the more you see the Browns got a shot in this game. Kansas City has the 32nd ranked red zone defense in the league. Browns have the 19th. So which means in the red zone, the Browns somehow have a better defense than Kansas City. Let that sink in. Okay. Kansas City is the 14th ranked red zone offense. This is counting TDs only, not field goals. They score touchdowns 61% of the time. The Browns are 4th at 72% of the time. Kansas City's the 19th ranked run defense in the league, giving up 122 yards per game. Browns are 3rd ranked rush offense in the league at 147 yards per game. So obviously the weakest part of our team is our pass defense, and that's going to be their strength. Absolutely. But the weakest part of their team is all of our strengths. So you know what I mean? I think if we can avoid giving up, you can't give up bombs. Well,
and a lot of their playmakers haven't played in 20 days.
3 weeks.
It'll be 20 days since their last game.
And I know, I pulled up, I was looking at their record and who they played. People talked about the Steelers not playing a tough schedule. They really haven't played a tough schedule either. And if you go back to, all the way back to their second Raiders win, or they beat the Panthers by 2, 33-31.
Close game, too, and it took like a last-second drive to go down. And
Raiders beat by 4. Buccaneers, they only beat by 3. Broncos, they only won 22-16. Dolphins, they only won 33-27. Saints, they only run 32-29. Falcons, they only beat 17-14. They only scored 17 points on the Falcons.
Falcons should have won that game.
Yeah, which we say, just about every week. And then they lost to the Chargers when they sat their starters 38-21. So they have not been – I'm not underselling how good they are, but this season has not been like the 50 points every single game. They only averaged 29.6 points per game. Browns averaged 25.6.
Yeah.
It's only a 4-point difference between our offenses, and they didn't play 3 games in a hurricane.
Well, okay, so I think going into this game, to put it in perspective, I think this is how the game has to go if the Browns want to have the chance to win. I think that they do have a chance to win. You got to stay kind of, it was like the Ohio State, theory of how they were going to win against Alabama. Just don't give up the big play, get them into the red zone, try to shut them down, make them kick field goals. I think that's how you got to win this game.
Cover their best receiver.
Yeah,
a little bit.
You got to
don't put a linebacker on him.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think going into this game, you can't give the big plays up over the top, a 50-yard touchdown, a 60-yard touchdown. You can't do that. Okay, you got to make them sustain a drive, take a long drive, because we want to shorten this game up too. We don't want them to have. Okay, each team has 16 possessions of the football.
No,
we don't want that.
Win that. Yeah.
And we saw they struggle. If you can get them to be in the red zone,
the field on
they
them.
struggle in the red zone this year.
Tyreek Hill isn't going to catch many jump balls if he's got to press cover because there's 16 yards between him and the goal line.
Yep.
Okay, he's able to get downfield, get past you because he's faster than you, and that's how he scores a bunch of his touchdowns. So I think that Travis Kelce is going to be a huge matchup trying to keep him in check because he's an animal, best tight end in the NFL.
He's got 1,400 yards receiving this year.
Yeah, he is the best. Running the ball wise, they're not really. They have some running backs. Edwards-Helaire practiced this.
Did he?
He practiced this week, so looking like he might make his return. And their running backs are super talented. They just don't force feed them the ball.
No, the running game has been less than impressive this year.
Yes.
I do think a big thing. So Patrick Mahomes is actually their second leading rusher, 308 yards, and I saw a majority of his rush yards come on third down scrambles where he'll rush for a first down.
Yeah, because they drop like all 11 guys back and he just runs for a first down.
So I think that's something we can't force these guys into third and longs, and then give up rushing touchdowns on scrambles.
Yes.
On third down, we got to contain him. We got to keep him in the pocket. Don't let him break our backs by rushing for first downs over and over again.
Yeah, you can't let him, you got to do your best to keep him in the pocket and don't let him extend plays. Because the guy can throw from any arm angle, anywhere on the field, throw to both sides of the field, eyes closed. He can do it all. You got to try to keep him in the pocket as much as you can. Obviously, we're going to give up points. It's going to be on our offense. Can we, time management's going to be big. You don't want to have, like we said, you don't want a bunch of drives going both ways because we don't want to get into a shootout. I think our Browns offense can, if it needs to.
Yeah.
But I don't like our
plan.
chances if we push that way.
Call me crazy, though. I think winner of this game on either side has to score 40.
Yeah, I could see that.
I could see that.
Well,
first to 40 wins.
And we talked about before the show the Baker Mahomes history.
Yeah, Texas Tech in Oklahoma.
This is a big game. So I I thought I heard something about the weather might not be so great in Kansas City this weekend, but that was earlier in the week. That might have changed. I don't know, but
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys remember that game or not from college.
They both threw for like 500 some yards.
Oh
or
no!
something crazy.
Oh, hold on a second. I remember. I remember this game. Watching it because Oklahoma had playoff intentions that year and couldn't lose. 66-59 win for the Sooners, and Mahomes threw for 734 yards and lost. 734 yards and lost, and had less passing touchdowns than Baker.
What'd Baker do?
Baker had 545 and 7 touchdowns.
My God.
A lot of defense being played in the Big 12.
Oh, now there is.
Sendejo must have
Now
been
there
on
is
one of those teams.
Now there's some defense in the Big 12. SEC's kind of moving towards the Big 12, and it's kind of changing the guard there a little bit. But I think, and then Josh mentioned before you guys got here once again, that they've matched up in the NFL. Mahomes, Baker, rookie season for Baker. Chiefs beat us 36-21, 37-21, something like that. But it was a close game at the half. It was 21-15 at halftime, and then Brown's offense. I mean, we were 2-6-1 at that point in the year, and they were, I think, 7-1 or 8-1, whatever it was.
We were dealing with that. Was that after the head coach flippity flop and all that fun stuff? Yeah.
So
what a mess.
Like I said, limit the big plays. Try to get them into the red zone. I saw on NFL Live, Dan Orlovsky says the Browns need to have 3 drives that are 7 minutes or longer that end up in touchdowns. So that'd be taking 21 minutes up that Patrick Mahomes is on the sideline. Obviously, I think it's going to take more than 21 points to beat him.
Well, and right there, you're right. We have to play defense with our offense because no one else is.
I do think it's huge. We should be getting Denzel Ward back.
He's back. Him and Johnson both cleared today.
So that should
slow Tyreek Hill down a little bit.
That goes a long way. I'm almost more concerned with Kelsey.
Yeah.
But we matched up. I know that game was nasty, but we had Darren Waller, and we kind of checked him down. I mean, no, obviously I was at that game. That was a awful game.
Yeah, but I remember Mark Andrews being a thorn in the side, too.
Yeah.
So
the biggest, I think, and defensively, I think Joe Woods, I mean, man, if there was a game where you were going to try to save your job, it's, going into the offseason.
It's hard to say that, we're 12-5, and I think
we have one of the worst defenses.
We might need to make a change at that coordinator position
because I think you got to blitz this week. I think looking at the numbers, Mahomes' stats against the blitz drop significantly if you just let him sit there and pick you apart. Yep. You got to force his hand. Miami in the game at the end of the year there, one of the better defenses, obviously, in football. They really got after him and forced him into a bunch of turnovers in that game.
Yeah, he threw 3 picks. And I just didn't understand against this in the Steelers game. I understand we went into the prevent because we didn't want to give up the big play. But what's the difference between giving up they score in 2 minutes because they hit a 40-yard bomb, or they score in 2 minutes because they hit 4 30-yard plays?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I agree.
At least if we blitz the crap out of them, we have a chance that we can sack them, force some negative plays, force some turnovers, do something. I hate our defensive strategy just about every single game. I don't understand it. And I know we're playing shorthanded with players and stuff like that, but so utilize what we do have.
Right.
We have Myles Garrett. We have Sheldon Richardson. We have Ogunjobi. Porter Gustin has shown that he can get after the passer sometime. Use these guys. Let's bring some pressure.
Well, and one of the things that kind of showed in that Pittsburgh game, so the game got close. I think it got down to 16.
I think it got down to like a 4th and 1.
Well, that was big. But it was down to like 16, and our defense finally stepped back up and pressured a little bit, got a little tighter, went away from the prevent because we were like, hey, we can't let them go down and score this time.
Yeah.
And we forced another turnover. I mean, Big Ben threw another interception, then we got a field goal, went up 19. Everybody could breathe a little bit that we went back up 3 scores.
And then we gave up another touchdown
in a minute, yes.
Yeah. So I did see, there's a lot of talk about Kansas City's offense, and I feel like a lot of people, when they think of the Browns' offense, they just think, oh, they're just a really good running team. Yes, we are, but the Browns have more 40-point games than the Chiefs this year. We have more plays of 50 yards plus this year than the Chiefs, and we have more multiple touchdown quarters than the Chiefs this year.
The thing I like is and we were kind of talking about this once again before you guys got here, who we would rather play.
Will you stop that, man? Quit being such a douche.
Well, for everybody that doesn't know, we were supposed to be. We had it planned to be here.
Couple people showed up a little bit late.
Right on time, I guess you could say.
If the show starts at 5,
we were talking
5:30,
about. We were talking about. Would you rather play the Bills or the Chiefs? I would rather play the Chiefs just because the Bills' defense is an animal that Baltimore can have fun with. And their offense is just as explosive this year as the Chiefs. Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, it's not like in years past you're like, man, the Chiefs' offense, nobody is like them. Well, no, there's a few teams that can score like that this year, and they have better defense. They're a better all-around team. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be a fun week.
I think we got a shot. We're going to move on, trying to keep us on track here. But I do, if you're a Browns fan and you think it's over, pump the brakes because I think we have.
Yeah, you can't think that way anymore.
Yeah.
Not this year.
Come on.
This year.
We had no business winning that Pittsburgh game, and look what happened. So in this time we are getting healthy.
Yep.
We are going to have some players back this game.
Head coach back.
Head coach will be back, but Tony will be back. Ward will be back. Johnson will be back. Some key players are going to be back on this team. I don't know about Conklin.
Yeah, Conklin, I haven't heard a whole lot about him. I know he had a hamstring. He was able to walk off. I was like, that's a good sign.
And what I liked was that he was on the sideline the rest of the game in his pads and everything. So I think he was still available in an emergency.
So we'll see if he's able to go. I think that'd be huge. Obviously, I'm not as concerned about Kansas City's pass rush as I was about the Steelers' pass rush, but I'd still much rather see Jack Conklin out there instead of Kendall Lamb.
Yeah.
But
Conklin missed practice.
He's day to day.
Yep.
Day to day.
Okay. We don't need to practice.
Nope.
No.
We'll just need to play.
We'll give him that cortisone shot at about 1:00 on Sunday. And he'll be there by 3:00.
Right.
So let's go Sunday. Let's pull off the upset of the century. Let's go to the AFC Championship. And so now we'll move on to our game picks. I think at least one of us had a pretty solid.
Yeah, one of us. Yours truly went. I'm just kidding. Justin went 6-0. Perfect week for the first round of the playoffs.
And we're going to keep that going.
Yeah, so all of us took Cleveland. Seattle kind of let us down. They, as great as Russell Wilson was the first, quarter of the season, terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not all on him. He has no protection. His offensive line was terrible. But the Rams, I just thought going into that game, the Rams didn't have enough firepower to score with them, and then that wasn't the case. Jared Goff had to play 3 screws in his thumb.
I think it came down to Cam Akers.
Oh, Cam Akers he finally lived
Goff
up.
Looked terrible.
And he's a fresh running back, too, because they've had that, running back by committee approach all year long.
Yep.
And this last, since week, I think it was like the 12 or 13, Akers is taken over.
Yeah, that's his team.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Jared Goff, he gets a little bit healthy this week, could be interesting at Green Bay.
Huh.
It's going to be interesting because their defense is good, not because of Jared Goff.
We'll see. I think that so that's our first matchup. So Justin went 6-0. Rest of us went 4-2. We'll start off. We got 4 games to pick this week. Rams at Green Bay on Saturday at 4:35.
It's interesting because that's where the Packers can be beat is on the ground.
Yeah.
Cam Akers is hot.
We said that though when they played the Titans.
Yeah.
I think
Packers had a week off. Sometimes does that help you? Does that hurt you? Because now you've been.
It's in Lambeau, a warm weather team coming into Lambeau, playing the freezing cold temps.
Oh, don't mistake what I'm talking about over here. I'm taking the Packers.
I just think this Packers team this year is different.
Yeah.
I like
Aaron Rodgers is playing at another level. I know that everybody thinks, and I do too, that Patrick Mahomes is like the elite of the elite, best quarterback in the league. And there's like a significant drop off. Aaron Rodgers is still there, and he's way old. And he's way older. I mean, and he's playing at a high level. I'm taking the Packers.
State Farm
in this
knew
one.
what they were doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Packers also.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Packers.
Yeah. Takes us into a great matchup. I'm excited for this game. Saturday night, 8:15 start at Buffalo. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson take their run game to Buffalo. I think this is going to be a little bit high scoring because I think both offenses are going to be able to do what they want. I think that this is like a 38-34 type game that's exciting in the fourth quarter. I'm taking Baltimore.
Me too.
It's such a toss-up game. Like, I feel like it could just go either way.
My brain says Bills,
Yeah.
but for some reason, my gut coming into this playoffs, the Ravens were that team
Hot.
that I did not
They're
want.
playing.
They're hot.
They're playing good.
And they just
right
realized
now.
that a 40-yard play is a 40-yard play. It doesn't matter how you do it. So let's do it with Lamar Jackson running it.
Right. And how did Derrick Henry do this week against that defense?
Not well, 40 yards,
If the Bills want to win this game, Josh Allen's going to have to do miraculous things again.
which he's done for 16
Right.
weeks,
Stephon Diggs, man, you're going to have to ball out this week.
which he's done every week.
yeah.
So that's why I'm taking Buffalo.
I'm taking Buffalo as well.
Yeah.
I'm-
I think, here's the thing. I think it's literally, you could throw it in a hat, and I wouldn't be shocked if I turned on the TV and they're like, oh, Baltimore
Now
won,
what-
Buffalo won.
What if next week ended up being
Baltimore.
Browns?
Oh, it's going
Ravens
to be
round
Ravens,
3.
Browns,
That would
AFC
be
Championship.
excellent.
Bring it
So,
on.
okay.
Another trilogy game.
All right, so we'll skip over and give our predictions on that Browns game here in a minute. Let's go 6:40 start time. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, round 3.
Yeah.
New Orleans has had their way with them both matchups this year.
This is what's fun about the playoffs is these games are just.
I don't know if you
It's
guys have seen the
phenomenal.
picture. Have you guys seen the
yes,
picture?
Old man,
Old man
Yeah.
Tom Brady, old man
So
Drew
good.
Brees.
Yeah.
History channel.
Yep.
Yep.
Man, this is offense, offense, offense. Both teams loaded with weapons. New Orleans defense is a little bit better, but I think you can't beat Tom Brady 3 times in 1 year. I'm taking Tampa Bay.
I'll take Tampa Bay.
I am going to take the Saints. And I hate to go against Tom, but
I just don't think that they can beat him 3 times in
Yeah.
1 year.
I don't know. I initially was going to say Tampa Bay because they've been playing better, but they've also been playing trash teams.
I think,
No.
and I think that win on Sunday marked this as Drew Brees' last year.
And then,
Oh, yeah.
And then Sunday, and then the Saints got a good defense. They got Kamara back. They got Michael Thomas back. To me, this is kind of a toss-up.
yeah,
Um,
it's the playoffs.
I'll go Saints, and I don't like that pick. No,
Well,
Yeah.
No, I
all
mean,
all
yeah.
these
Yeah.
games though, I can see outcomes for every
Yes.
Oh,
every team
absolutely.
in the playoffs.
Yeah, you can't.
yeah.
I mean,
the problem is
really, the 8
this-
best teams are left.
The Saints the problem for me is the Saints haven't just beaten Tampa Bay twice. I mean, they've thoroughly dominated them,
Yeah,
and I think they have a huge edge in the coaching matchup.
I agree.
Sean Payton.
Sean
Yeah,
Payton
Sean
for
Payton's-
sure.
So
You mean Sean Payton against Tom Brady?
Yeah, it's Tom's team.
That's Tom's team. Yeah.
I think it's hard to be. I just can't pick somebody to beat Tom Brady 3 times in 1 year. I just can't. I'm going.
I agree. I
no,
understand.
yeah.
So I'm going Tampa Bay there with Josh. So we're split there. All right. Sunday, January 17th, round 2 of the playoffs. Cleveland at Kansas City, 3:00 start time.
Hey, there it is again. Hey, bringing us back.
There's the music.
Browns is the Browns.
Yeah.
I'll go first here. I'm taking the Browns. I'm taking us in an unfortunate shootout, 45-41.
Man. Browns is the Browns. I mean, we don't have that bulletin board material this week.
Oh, we
Are you
kinda
kidding?
Kind of do.
Sammy
First of all-
Watkins said we weren't
Absolutely.
real competition.
And what Claypool said after
didn't- I
the
missed
game,
that one.
that's even disrespectful. We're
Right.
still getting disrespected by the Steelers after we just
Oh, that's what I'm
clapped
going to
them.
talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
come on now.
I think that I'm going. The Browns are in the playoffs, so I'm not picking against the Browns.
Attaboy.
No.
I'm going Cleveland, and I'll go 38-30.
If we hold the
38-30.
Chiefs at 30, we better win this game.
38-30.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I'll take Browns. And I think that things are going to get wild, and it's going to be like 52-48.
This game kind of reminds me of that Chiefs-Rams game a couple years ago.
Yes.
I feel like it's
Browns
gonna be like
Baltimore
that.
game.
Yeah,
Yep.
where it's just going to be like
Back and forth,
Yep.
and forth. One quick thing before we move on, and I know we're kind of running out of time because of me, but I wanted to give props to the guy we didn't mention, Cody Parkey, this week.
Yeah.
I know it's just extra points, but in a game like that, if he's struggling and missing a few of those,
That's
it
momentum.
changes a 2-possession game into a 1. It changes a 3 into a 2.
7 for 7.
Yeah, guy was on fire.
Yeah.
So props to him before we move on to Justin.
Yeah.
What do you got? Take us home here. What's your pick?
All right. So, Cleveland Browns. Underdogs. Again, nobody's giving them a chance. I feel like I just keep repeating myself every week. Nobody's giving us a chance. The Cleveland Browns will come out and shock the world, and we'll move on to the AFC Championship. I think it's an insane game. I think that we're not going to relax at all. I think we're going to be nervous and a wreck the whole time. I'll be swearing in my living room again. I'm taking Browns 42-39.
Close game. Everybody's got it close.
Yeah.
I think it's going to have to be.
It's going to be a hell of a day.
Hey,
I
but
can't,
enjoy
I'm not
it.
gonna lie.
But Cleveland fans, Browns fans in general, enjoy it.
Quick recap. I thought 5 minutes ago in this Pittsburgh game, I went and got my Browns flag and I put my shoes on and I was like, I'm about to be running around my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm running to Justin's house.
Yeah.
It's about to be crazy. And then we won and I just sat there and I didn't move. I just looked at my TV, listened to Jim Donovan's calls, and I was like, I was almost in shock, stunned at what I was watching. And then I watched videos of the video we showed our players before the game of like all the season ticket holders talking to the team. If that ain't enough to make a grown man cry.
I didn't see those. That's pretty cool.
I was like, man, this is
awesome.
I just love this team.
Yep.
It just feels so nice to be at this position. Something I didn't know if it was ever going to happen.
Yep.
So
it's here, baby.
Yep.
It's here, and I think it's here to stay.
I hope. Let's cherish it because as we learned in the last 18 years, it's not promised next year.
Right.
Or the year after.
Nope.
So cherish this moment. Let's wrap this thing up so Zach can go do whatever he's got to do. Remember to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Again, thank you for subscribing on YouTube. When we hit that 100 subscribers, we'll get you guys our custom URL sometime this week. Remember to check out Thrive Fantasy. Use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, for your chance to win some money playing player props. You get a 100% match on your deposit, $20 or more, up to $50. Biggest game, franchise history, last 20 years coming up this week. We will hopefully see you guys again next week talking about our AFC Championship matchup with Team to be determined. Can't freaking wait. Let's party the rest of this week, and we'll see you guys all next week. Go
My
Browns.
city, my city.